Another one is gone. The Chicago Bears have just cut nose tackle Eddie Goldman, saving about $6.6 million in cap space this offseason. What's going on, guys? I'm back with the Chicago Bears offseason update videos. I just finished recording my last video like an hour ago, had lunch, and I saw on my phone, oh man, we made another move. Okay, Ryan Poles is really making a lot of moves and a lot of changes to this roster because he realizes the roster isn't good enough to be a Super Bowl contending team as it is right now. So in this video, guys, I'll be breaking down the release of Eddie Goldman, what it means for the Bears going forward. And honestly, it's not that surprising at all, guys. Like, I expected this in my mock offseason video. I had the Bears getting rid of Eddie Goldman because it didn't make sense to keep a big nose tackle in a 4-3 defensive scheme. Okay, the scheme difference is pretty big. I don't think Eddie Goldman would be the best fit in the scheme, but also because he wasn't that good last year at all, guys. Like, if you look at his 2021 tape, compare it to 2018, 2017, any year before that, he's nowhere close to the same player. He wasn't eating those same gaps that he used to. He didn't have the same power. He wasn't showing up, making big-time plays. Okay, the Bears' run defense last year was bottom half of the league. Okay, we did not have a good run defense whatsoever, and Eddie Goldman's decline was a big part of that, okay? So, obviously he was one of the best draft picks in the Ryan Pace era. He was a second-round pick back in 2015, had fantastic years for the Chicago Bears, early part of his career. Obviously, 2018 was his climax, was his peak. He was, probably a top 2, top 3 nose tackle in the NFL at that point in time. And I don't know if he just wasn't in shape or if he didn't want to play football, right? Because there's rumors going on that he might, retire from football last year, okay, before last offseason, because he missed the entire 2020 season due to COVID concerns. And then, he didn't show up to camp until a little bit later in 2021. So there were concerns about his willingness to play football, and it just seems like he wasn't the same beast, the same player that he used to be. So it makes total sense to get rid of him. And like I mentioned, guys, also the switch to a 4-3 front is going to be pretty big for players like Eddie Goldman. Some players like Robert Quinn should be able to go back into that defense because they played there originally to begin their career. Like Robert Quinn used to be a 4-3 defensive end, but a player like Eddie Goldman, he was a space-eating nose tackle. Okay, he's not a true 3 technique, and we need one for this 4-3 front. Okay, a big space-eating nose tackle is probably not going to be the best fit in this defense. So scheme-wise, it makes total sense to get rid of him. Cap-wise, it makes total sense to get rid of him because we're saving, about $6.6 million this year. Some more millions of dollars next year as well, which if you guys are keeping count now, we have a boatload of money to spend in the 2023 NFL offseason. So it seems like Ryan Pace wants to keep on clearing up some more cap space. And like I mentioned, guys, he wasn't that good to begin with last year either. Eddie Goldman was definitely one of the best draft picks of the Ryan Pace era, though, guys. Like, he was a second-round pick back in 2015, gave us some fantastic seasons. He used to be one of the best nose tackles in the NFL from, 2016 to 2018. He was, without a doubt, top 2, top 3 nose tackle, had fantastic seasons for us, stuffing runs, pressuring the quarterback too, had a couple sacks in 2018. You guys remember that big one on Jared Goff? I think that was a safety. So there was a lot of fun moments, a lot of fun memories, and he did play really good for us for the majority of his Bears career. But like I've been saying in all these videos, guys, the NFL is a business, okay? There's no loyalty, there's no friendliness in a business. It's all about what you do on the football field, and that play wasn't good enough for, Ryan Poles and this new regime. It's honestly really refreshing to see a new regime take over and make all these changes, because I feel like Bears fans have been asking for these changes for a couple years now, right? Like, ever since the 2019 season, I feel like the majority of Bears fans recognize that our Super Bowl window is completely shut, okay? This team has no chance of going back to, to the Super Bowl. I mean, we never went to the Super Bowl in the first place, but now we have no shot of being as good as we were back in 2018. So people want to move off of guys like Khalil Mack, guys like, Eddie Goldman, aging defensive players, and it seems like Ryan Poles is finally doing those things. It's probably a couple years too late. Like, we couldn't get the proper return for these players. We couldn't get a trade for Eddie Goldman because he's been, not a good player for the last 2 seasons. We couldn't get much for Khalil Mack either because he's coming off a bad injury. He's 31 years old and he hasn't had double-digit sacks in, a couple years now. Okay, ever since 2018 was the last time he had double-digit sacks. So it sucks we couldn't get the proper return for these players, but at least Ryan Poles is beginning the process of rebuilding this roster. And yes, I think this is a partial rebuild of the roster. I don't think that everybody is going to be gone. Like, I don't think we're just going to trade everybody now, like Robert Quinn, Eddie Jackson. I feel like some players are at least going to stay because you need some level of talent on this roster. Otherwise, you're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. But I feel like Ryan Poles wants to create flexibility for next offseason. And also, he wants to, kind of redistribute these assets into the offensive side of the football. Ryan Pace never spent enough money on the offensive side of the football. If you look at the offensive line, it was always just his own drafted players on the O-line. We never went after big ticket free agents on the O-line when a lot of top teams in the NFL do that nowadays because you need stability on the offensive line. So investing more in the offensive line, investing more in the receiver department, like I think these are things that he could be doing with all this money he's saving by cutting guys like Eddie Goldman. So best of luck to Eddie Goldman, man. He was a great Bear for the majority of his career. Sucks the last 2 seasons we didn't really see much, but I wish him the best of luck wherever he ends up. And let me know what you guys think about this move in the comments down below. But as always, guys, bear down.